Nailed it.
Got it.
Welcome back, ladies and gents, and welcome to the Battlefield EMS One Cup number 2 Grand Final. We have a little bit of an upset underway. Two teams that I feel that maybe kind of break out of the normal mold we see of teams in the finals. Certainly from the one we saw not too long ago, which was MIM Fnatic in Cup number 1. Now we're going to be seeing two very different teams. It'll be Team uMAV, who really showed their strength against Fnatic earlier in the upper side of the semi-finals. And in the lower half, it was Dignitas against Epsilon, and Epsilon trounced them. So there are two finalists, and we're going to find out who's going to walk away, well, the victor. We're giving up on Storm, so interesting choice. I believe that was uMAV's decision. We saw how strong they were earlier. So
Yep.
This is a real proving point for them against the likes of Epsilon, who I know are also very competent on this. Where's your predictions going to lay?
Epsilon. I will give you my reasoning behind that. I was just trying to see if you'd be like, okay, why? So they played just too damn well. They looked ridiculously unstoppable, and they have something like I said before the break that uMAV don't have. They have Horik, that rotator that becomes such a nuisance. This can be a map that can really work with it because you usually leave one man on C, but
Yep.
the game's already started. It's getting underway. uMAV will be on the US side, and we will have Epsilon on the Chinese side here. And I want to see how they're going to go about attacking this. And they're sending one man C, and then everyone else straight into the buildings like they did last time.
Very interesting. Once again, unique feature to uMAV. They don't contest on the A side. They give that straight over to the Chinese side, but they've lost out on B. That is a big, big difference here. Fnatic did not get that the first time we watched this, and uMAV now have to work their way back in. Maybe start questioning their choices. Oh, going for a little bit of a kill. A cheeky play going out from Asterix, taking down Duke, but will be challenged out straight away. They are not having the easy ride they had before. They're going to have to fall back to pick up that A site now. And they're already at a little bit of a deficit. Not a huge bit of damage done. But they're going to have to start building back up now.
They definitely will here. And I want to see, where is that man Horik? Where is he going for? He just respawned. They do get control of C. They do have control of B here. Siki trying to take B before anyone on Epsilon actually is there to stop him. And I wonder if they'll be able to get there in time here. But it looks like he will be able to at least neutralize it, if anything. And Horik, he's doing his usual Horik things. But there is one man actually waiting for him, and that is Delarco. And he's not going to get the better of him, unfortunately. So Horik will have that opportunity to roam around if he wants. But right now, B still neutralized, not in favor of either team. It's going slowly in favor of the Chinese team. Epsilon will be able to lock that one down.
And I want to say something very different here from how we saw before. They're doing that one-man split, so Duke will make his way up into the apartments, for example. They'll attack B from the kind of west side there for the Epsilon side, so they negate the presence that Asterix had, and now he's going to be forced out to do something a little bit different. Epsilon are holding 2-1 now, A still being in favor to uMAV, but uMAV need to maybe adapt a little bit from what they were doing before. With that Storm coming in, they're going to have to get that work going because those tickets are going to get starting to drop lower and lower.
They definitely will here, and we do see one-man Jera just holding on to C here. We actually do have a back spot coming in for uMAV, so they could potentially lose out on A if we do see a response come in out of Epsilon, but they still have 3 men here to defend against it. They're trying to take control of these buildings once again here. Asterix, the man to actually lead the charge, but he hasn't found anyone just yet, and like you said before, it seems like Epsilon, they might have, actually no, they probably did watch that first semifinal we saw against Fnatic, and they're like, all right, they let you control the buildings, let's counter the crap out of that and force them to be in a position that they're not comfortable with, because uMAV, they had a, we can say, even though they did beat Fnatic, they had a tough time adapting on the fly.
Most certainly. We're going to see if this one really pans out, because even though Epsilon...
Look at that. He got hit, he's hit from the back and the front. They just know where he's going to be.
They took down Marzu initially, so they knew that his his co-player of these apartments was down. They knew that the Asterix would be there, he was alive, he's certainly going to be in the apartments, and they've just worked it since then. Duke just comes in, takes out Marzu, going to push on, Sneaky was eliminated, and they control B now. They know they've got the advantage. They have the players in the apartments as well, the likes of Jera still just prowling around. They've not got the control in the other two, so I'm surprised he's being this out in the open here, because already we're seeing uMAV taking this one over. They have C, they didn't hold on to A, now they need to look back towards which sites they can really work it, because B is not being their favored site this time.
And A is actually wide open for them if they do want to go for it, but just the attention of Epsilon being over here in middle, or in B, is just kind of deterring them to go for it, and that might be a mistake that might come back to haunt them in the end right now, but you see Duke pushed up into the lower buildings, and it's so weird because Epsilon, it seems like they don't really care about necessarily holding the buildings. The only reason they're there is to kill uMAV, not really to actually take control and use those to their advantage, but they do take C, they do take A, they do give B up, but look at this, Horik coming in for the backside. We saw him here just prior, and he's going to get actually the spot here. Will he be able to pick up the kill, though, onto Delarco, and we saw them actually dueling here just last time as the game kicked off, and Horik won both of these duels so far. Now, he's actually not going to go for B off of this, since A is actually being capped over. He wants to go straight for it, let his teammates take that one, and also with this push onto A.
Yeah, uMAV finally woke up. uMAV finally went, okay, let's get that A site because we're not holding B strong. We're losing out on C as well. They need to convert 2 to 1 here. Nice shot from Duke at long range with that, well, quite difficult gun to work with at such a long distance. Sneaky will be converting on C, so that should go in favor to the uMAV team, but still, I'm waiting to see where Epsilon go now. They need to just focus it out. They're challenging down on A, and we are just going to see them just taking their time. They've got B, that's what they wanted. They pushed uMAV out of their control zone. They've locked down A, and this is ideal now. They've just pushed, uMAV all the way back to C. If they can control the spawns now and play smart, they're in a great position, and the tickets are reflecting that.
And look at the kills that you have for both these teams, too. Right now, Epsilon is 20 kills ahead of uMAV, and usually uMAV were the ones to kind of get that kill lead in the beginning of the game and really gain control of it, but Epsilon aren't giving them that strong early game that they're really used to here. Just seeing David try to take down Marsu, does in fact get it here, so they're picking up kills more left and right, already have over a 50-ticket lead here, and that's just from maintaining 2 flags the entirety of the time.
And uMAV are trying to go back to their standard play. They're trying to take over those buildings. It'll be Marzu and Asterix pushing up into them. But already there's players willing to challenge. Asterix gets taken down. That's Mayek doing the damage. He knows there's going to be another push. He wasn't able to contest that one. But immediately there's a revive. There's a support from Duke. And they're back in control here. And they're still holding down 2 sites to 1. 47 tickets left is dire. And they're on 126. This has not even been close yet. uMAV need to adapt. They need to work this out. It's adapt or die for them now in the grand finals because no one's messing around here. Baden trying to do a great job coming around the back onto A. But he will be challenged out by Mayek, one of the men who went huge not too long ago. Not a man I'd like to be challenged one-on-one, and they're not going for the challenge immediately. They're going to go for the retake, and oh, he just about got taken down in the last second, and that will probably go back over towards the opposite side, but immediately, they're in on B.
You know what uMAV really need as well? They need to get their composure. They're just spawning in 1 by 1, dying 1 by 1. They haven't been able to get all 5 on the map at the same time in quite a while, and they haven't been able to group up in the ways they really need to. They're getting picked off left and right. They're getting killed so often. And Epsilon, I mean, it's reflected in the kills. Right now, there's still 21 kills ahead of them currently, and the tickets reflected at 30 to 118. They're having such a tough time making this happen, but we finally see uMAV finally get some sort of ground in here as they are able to maintain a 2 cap. However, that is immediately getting turned by Epsilon into a tri cap.
Epsilon do not hold back. Baden's been a bit of a redeeming factor on this A site for uMAV. He's constantly been out there. He's playing the roles perfectly, getting the respawns in for them, but still, they're at a disadvantage and they cannot find a comfortable site to be on. C is immediately contested because generally, Epsilon have that B site anyway, so it's a very easy push across. And there's been no 2-to-1 holds for these guys. It's been very rare and sparse for them. Hence why they're on 20 tickets, hence why the opposition has 113. They need to start getting back into this. They've got to find their comfort in the adaptation, and they're just not managing yet. Sneaky's been taken down. Marzu is now pretty much the last, standing member towards this B site. He's capped it out, and they've got A. So brilliant individual play from uMAV, but it's not the team kind of cohesing together. It's very much individual standing out, and now they've got to hold on somehow. Good play from Marzu, taking down David, defending B as much as he can, but I feel as though this is a little bit too little too late, but I guess every ticket counts at this point.
Yeah, it really does, especially with having over 100 ticket lead in favor of Epsilon currently. They need to get this score down. They need to, I mean, even if they're going to go out, and go with the mindset that, all right, we're going to lose the first half, but we can't let the lead be this large. That's too hard to come back from, but Epsilon get a cap onto A, get a cap onto B here, so they will have that 2-to-1 finally back in favor of them. The kills still are 20 different between both these teams. It's really uncommon to see this. I mean, we saw uMAV do it against Fnatic earlier on today, but now Epsilon just completely out-aiming them. I'm not sure what happened in their little bit of a break here, but uMAV are not looking as strong as we saw them earlier on, and we're going to see them get flanked here by Epsilon.
Pretty much, and it's Horik doing the damage. He finally gets taken down by a nade of his own teammates. But 99-7 is a big scoreline to be worrying about, and we're going to see at least a 2-to-1 hold for now. Once again, in favor to Epsilon. These guys are never letting go here. They're constantly on the adaptation. I'm surprised there's not already been a C push because they're losing out on A. Maybe fancy their chances and just going for the straight exchange, but 99 tickets on the board. That's massive here. Epsilon coming into this warmed up, ready to really show what they're made of. And this might be a little bit of a damage done towards the opposition, but now they can't respawn. They can't do anything. Delarco's down. He's down for the rest of the game unless a revive comes in, but there we have it. 97 tickets there. That's a big start for Epsilon. That's a worrying sight for uMAV. Now let's get it back in our minds. Let's refresh ourselves. uMAV have done comebacks like this before. They were always down. They were always down in half, but it was never above this sort of marker. The biggest deficit they had was 59 tickets. They had the advantage in the third map, which gave them the game, which was 31 to their name, but still, 97 ticket deficit is huge.
If I remember correctly, you were saying actually last week back in Cup 1 that Epsilon, they're kind of like a scrappy bunch of people just put together last minute before this all kicked off.
That I think it was for DreamHack that kind of happened because obviously Fnatic were ex Epsilon, moved over to
Right.
Fnatic, and they went, okay, well, there's a lot of players here who are really talented, don't have a collective team yet. Let's pick them up. And Epsilon did that. They put them together. It was kind of like Frankenstein team that they put together, just bits and pieces, and they've been a real threat now.
Yeah, what's worrying to me is how much they improved in 1 week.
It's huge.
2 weeks. Just imagine down the line, in cup number 3, cup number 4, how, or even to the group stages, into the offline finals, if they get there, how strong of a team they're going to be, because right now they're looking unstoppable. They really are. And what team can really stop them? It's hard to say that, because by association, because they're beating uMAV, they beat Fnatic as well, kind of thing. You can't really say that because they're two different teams, but
very much so.
But they're outdoing uMAV in every single way that uMAV used to outdo Fnatic.
I think the thing that impressed me most was the fact that Epsilon really learned then. They, the way the kills were going, let's analyze it from that aspect. For example, uMAV never got the vertical advantage on this map, which worked so well for them before. We saw Asterix going big, covering other players.
Asterix always sat in this hut, and they were always countering that. They always went for it and killed them.
Straight away, it may have been Duke doing it, who's a brilliant player, one-on-one, very talented. They just put their, most, talented kind of aimer, let's say, to challenge, and it worked. It worked time and time again, and that's the difference. They're out of their comfort zone. They weren't getting the kills on B. They didn't have the overall cover provided, and that was the big difference in my eyes. And that's where Epsilon is strong. And let's look at the initial split here. Bit more of a usual start this time. uMAV not going for the immediate kind of stack they went for before. They're going for the initial 2 players towards A, both sides, and then the rest focusing towards C for 1 on the US team, and then 3 obviously for the opposition. So very nice start for these guys. It will be Epsilon on the US team, and uMAV will be on the Chinese team. Now let's keep that in mind, that if the Chinese team drop below 97 tickets, they've lost down their first map, and already Epsilon are not letting them rest.
And the second map was of Epsilon's choosing. So that might be even more difficult for them. But right now, we do see A going over to Epsilon here for a little bit of trade with Duke actually going for a push by himself, was able to take that for his team. We do see C being kept over for uMAV. Baton actually playing a little bit of floater role. It looks like kind of similar to Horik. Speaking of Horik, speaking of the Devil, he's already over at B. They're going to get this back as well. So we're going to have a 2-1 advantage in favor of Epsilon in the beginning. But uMAV has shown us when they played against Fnatic earlier on that they'll be behind in the beginning, but they will come back storming. Or they have at least the ability to. I will say that. Horik does get taken down, so third of him will be gone. So you do have Delargo. He's going really far around here. Get a couple of respawns on him, but there's one man ready to challenge him, and that is Duke.
Yeah, and that man is so good at these exchanges. He can certainly win this.
He's read it perfectly.
Yeah, really nice knowledge. He caught a glimpse then of a player, so he knows he's in the trenches. He can play the smart, wait for them to push out, or go for the immediate challenge. He has the advantage in that one-on-one. He's going to win it out. Expects another player as well, and he's just keeping them busy. The rest of his team can focus down. He's kept 2 players down there, and he can respawn in more of a relevant role. So maybe you support Jera, or come back in to defend B. Really well played so far, but they need to convert that good play into capture points.
They do, and just the distraction, it's just so well done by Dave. I just want to say again. But right now we do have a tri-cap in favor of Epsilon. They're able to take control of A, B, and C. And what's the magic number again? 97 tickets. If uMAV drops below that, that will be the first map in favor of Epsilon in the Special 3. And we will advance on to play, I believe, on Gomud Railway, or Gomud Railway after this. But right now, Sneaky, being very sneaky, not doing what his name says, and coming up from the backside, gets the kill, gets the cap back onto B, and uMAV, they're being stopped at every single section they go to attack.
This is one of the first times we've seen a truly held triple cap. It's not the, okay, we'll do that kind of like cheesy move, we'll go and maybe sneakily get, the C point or whatever. They're holding this one out. Delarco doing what he can from a really good position, but they can't get the penetration. Their spawns are not helping them out. They're not getting the kills in place. And look at that kill to death ratio for both teams. 9-18 for uMAV and 18-6. That's a huge difference. And they're just not winning those one-on-ones. Hell, Marzu can't even get through a fence, let alone take down a player. But he might be able to convert that C site. But he's going to have to start thinking about those respawns. Are they going to put it on towards him? Or what can they do here? Because they're just not in their comfort zone. They've not been gifted B once, and the tickets have just dripped away from them one by one. And there was nothing they could do. It was completely mowed down. That trip cap just pretty much gifted that map to Epsilon. And if I was uMAV, I'd be kicking myself for that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really even look back at that and wonder what could we have done differently. And,
No.
and the thing is, like, we're not used to games being this one side. That's why we're looking at like, oh, the game's over. We totally kind of forgot right there with that trip cap.
Yeah, it was literally, that trip cap gave them the game there. Or at least the first map, should I say. And if I was uMAV at this point, I'd be thinking, well, that was our best map. That's the one that we did really well on. Where do we stand now? Because, okay, Epsilon, for example, they're the one team that I saw go for Railway, which is the next map. And they're so aggressive. The pressure is just constant. You do not get a break. Mayek went so huge. It was just ridiculous on that map when I've seen him play. And, you know, if they're picking this, there's a reason to it. But especially against uMAV, who enjoy holding buildings, playing
that's
quite
what I was
high up,
thinking.
it's a dangerous choice knowing your opponent, but they've got to be comfortable on it then. They've got to have their reasons behind this. They wouldn't just go, this is our favorite map, we'll just play it and hope the opposition doesn't do well. They've got to have a reason going, okay, we know how they're going to want to play. How can we get them out of the comfort zone? Same just happened on Paracel Storm. That was exactly what happened there. You know, they knew how they're going to play it comfortably. They knew what was their choice. Immediately challenged them on it, threw them off, trip capped them out. Bam, there you go. They didn't have a backup plan for uMAV.
Again, I'm wondering to myself, was it pure strategy that won in that game, or that map, or was it just them completely out aiming the other team? I mean, they had a read. They knew exactly what uMAV were going to do, so they were set to counter that. But they were just shutting them down left, right. With that tri-cup we saw, held by them, we saw uMAV just scattered. I mean, they sent a couple of spawns over towards C. They sent a couple towards A. Their respawns weren't all together to really start capping things back, and they were just not getting any kills. They weren't able to retake anything.
And the big thing I want to kind of point out as well is the fact that, okay, on paper you can counter any team. You can watch a VOD back and go, I know exactly how to counter that strategy. To be able to execute it, to make it count, is something completely different. It's not simple at all. It's one of the hardest things to do, to actually execute it in real time and then continuing it on. It's very easy. Okay, all right, we know where Asterix is playing. Let's just throw Duke up there, but can Duke win it one-on-one against Asterix? Has he gone okay? Maybe Asterix likes running with that, Scar H, which is maybe a little bit better long range, maybe more set up for it. Should I go for maybe the AEK or Ace to challenge that? There's all these little choices that will come into their mind, and then let's say Duke wins that exchange, picks up that flag, now overlooking the B site. He's got a close quarter gun. He can't create the crossfire to maintain it. He has to wait for the pushes. So it's all the knock-on effects of these little choices they'd make to be able to kind of get into that position. And, it's very interesting to see. Now, he'll generally run with the Ace, I believe. I think we can actually spin through and see if he's on the server yet. If you just press tab and click on his name. Asterix. Duke, sorry. Excuse me. Duke, what am I talking about? So, yeah, if we can see what Duke's running with there. So, yeah, he's running with the Ace 52, the very close quarters gun. So he's got the ergo grip, not exactly ideal for those long-range fights. Maybe the angle grip a little bit more so. I'd say, most of these players will hit those first two shots, and there's very little recoil towards it then, so it's pretty much almost like a railgun is how I'd kind of describe it.
I don't know
they're
about
gonna
it.
hit.
I'm just kidding.
But, yeah, it's all these decisions you have to keep in mind that, so on paper, anti-strats can work wonderfully, but you've got to be able to kind of carry that on. And that's what Epsilon were doing. They weren't just sitting there going, okay, we've kind of thrown him off, but what do we do now? Okay, now let's execute our strategies. Let's kind of wipe the slate clean, and then go over the top.
There was something that Fnatic was doing in the first game on that map against uMAV that kind of threw me off, was the fact that Unfix was running the Scar, and it was forcing him to play passive just to sit long range and get the kills. But the way Epsilon was using the Scar, you had Horik, who was aggressive, pushing constantly, getting in your face, and even with that gun not being, designed for close range combat, he made it work. And Unfix to me isn't a player that should be passive.
Okay, I agree with what you mean there, but I feel as though the way that Horik plays, for example, he'll always be in control of the one-on-one. So he'll play the surprise role, so he'll do that kind of flank maneuver. Most people wouldn't expect that. So you can already put yourself in maybe an advantageous position, saying, okay, I need to keep this guy a little bit of long range here. I can get aggressive to the flag, but I know that this player maybe 70% of the time is going to be around this area, maybe defending it. I need to keep myself in the best position possible. So he probably won't go for the... Whoa, easy, Tiger. He probably won't go for okay, let's just rush at him and just go for the hip fire. That won't really work. It'll be, okay, let me put myself in maybe a defensive posture, using some of the terrain around him, and then take the challenge. Make sure he's always at that possible advantage. And I feel that's the way he does it. So he'll play aggressive, then put himself in a position he's in the advantage. And I think that just works out perfectly. We see a lot of players doing it who run with the Scar H, which, in my eyes, doesn't just say they play it a specific way, but they play very smart in exchanges. They won't be the rushing player, they won't be the one constantly getting those kills like the Mayx, but they're the ones that get the very important kills.
I'm wondering, with the way Epsilon's been playing today, and I'm not sure if they had it yet. Actually, did you follow any of their games yesterday?
Yes.
I really wonder if Horik or with them showing this off of having that one person who's very aggressive. I mean, we've seen other teams similar, like Too Easy, you know, he gets really aggressive on Fnatic, you know, he pushes up, but he doesn't do the flanking or the back capping that Horik does. He's in that one-man squad that Horik has shown to be. I wonder if teams will start adapting and start using that style a little bit, changing up the way they play and having that one man do that, you know, because we talk about set roles, we talk about having an anchor. If you think of Winghaven, he's typically doing that. I can't think of an anchor on Epsilon right now.
I think their game style doesn't necessarily need it yet. I think Jera sometimes can be. He can be their safety player at times. But I don't think that's his specific role. I think the way they play is to very much their own skill. So they don't have to go, okay, I see other people trying this out. Let's set our own trends. They're quite ingenious in that aspect in my eyes. And I'll be curious to see how Fnatic deal with it, because it's going to be a matter of time before one team adapts to the other in the certain way they play, because obviously one team's going to be winning over the other, and it's, can we counter this with our style? Yes or no? No? Okay, we need to adapt and overcome. It's as simple as that. And, you know, I'll be very curious to see it, because the way they're using that Scar H is positionally very hard. So, for example, the way Jera's peeking right now makes that gun ideal. You know, it doesn't have the clip that the Ace has, but on long range, you can get those nice little tap shots that are going to land perfectly. You know, you already know you got the recoil there.
Yeah, and I want to see how this game keeps adapting, because we talk about, you know, adaptation across many games, across many games. Let's just say that first of all, being able to adapt, being the team that can adapt the quickest, usually means you're one of the best teams. And I want to see how rich that comes into effect here in Battlefield 4.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge defining point later in this game. The surprising thing to me is how quickly it's happening. It's happening week in, week out. There's no set meta yet in Battlefield. There's always adaptation. There's always changes. And I like it. I like it. I love seeing it because, for example, Dawnbreaker was a very one-sided spawn map in my mind initially. So let's say you got the A spawn, for example. You have the advantage because you've got A in the bag, which is vertically advantageous, and B's a little bit closer for you. So if you already do the boost there and you get up and down, you're pretty much golden for the start of it. There's a count coming out for that. So you spawn at C, you run with the Scar H, and you get yourself on the catwalk of the right side if you spawn on C, run up, and you've got brilliant fire on towards that B side. So already you can work yourself back into that, and that's perfectly what we saw happening. That's how the game's evolving week by week, because you know it's so hard for these teams to keep up with that. No one can. Ow! I hit my knee on the table. No one can expect these things. I hit my knee on the table. It really hurt. Can you stop mocking me for being from London on occasion?
I still don't get the H. I don't understand that.
What, that we pronounce letters?
H. H.
How dare H.
Not H.
Say what I want. I made this language. Leg.
But you didn't win the war. On America and the revolution.
Hey, look. Your White House got pretty trashed by us. We did pretty good on that. All right. Burn,
I won't
baby,
deny that.
burn. Disco Inferno. We were
Pretty sure that song wasn't around then.
No, they weren't singing that on top of the White House. What a surprise!
All right, now guys, we are just waiting for the teams to get into the game. I believe one member on Epsilon's side.
They're just both chilling. Both teams lost a player.
I believe one man on Epsilon's side is actually restarting his router, having some internet problems. And I'm not sure about the side of uMAV, but hopefully we'll be getting underway shortly, because this could potentially be the last game in this cut number 2, where Epsilon could take home the 100 points and will guarantee them a spot into those group stages.
Yeah, it's insane watching this, because normally by cup number 2 you'll see generally if you go through like the EMS style systems, especially in FPS games, by cup number 2 you'll see the defining trend of your top 2 teams. So you'll be expecting those guys will be in the groups, those guys will be in the offline finals, blah blah blah. You can kind of work out what's happening there. But in this one, we've got 2 completely different teams in the grand final, cup by cup, and God knows what's happening for cup 3. You know what I mean? It could change in an instant. Let's say.
I hope it does, to be honest.
It's fantastic. It's lovely to see.
Keeps it fresh.
Exactly. A lot of the FPS scene does get very stale very quickly, because one team will work out the game to an extent.
NIP.
Whoa. Very Games and Fnatic have something to say about that.
They have finally overthrown them, yes.
Yeah, NIP's reign did finally get taken down, but it took so long, for example, because NIP just had the right mentality to train. They had the right kind of way to get better. I
think that's Horik just playing with them.
But
Let me repair this wall for you guys. I got this.
I'm gonna help y'all. It's amazing.
Kill him with it. Kill him with the blowtorch.
Do it, do it, do it. Marzu's loving this as well. He's a sadistic guy. He just sat there like, yeah, you burn that. But no, it's the adaptation. It's the way the game's evolving week by week, and I love seeing that. It's what made when I started playing FPS games a long time ago now. Damn, that was a bit aggressive. Jam went all over my screen, but the best thing was you never knew who was going to be first. There was always that really good team. So, for example, Valu was on one of them, Winghaven was on the other. This is back in enemy territory so many years ago now. And it was always awesome to see who's going to be the one in the grand final. Who's going to make it there? Will it be TLR or will it be Mammoth? These two used to play on the completely different teams. Why are you looking at me like that?
You're saying names I don't know.
Back in my day. Ladies and gents in chat, if any of you remember these names, you are awesome. But it was always like the last resort. Winghaven was always on that team, or Impact, and he'd play with like these kind of newer age players. They were kind of like the young guys in it. And then Valu, aka Reload, back in those days, used to play with like the Estonians, who were just phenomenal at the game. The Finns, the kind of like teams like that who are so stoic yet so good and so set in their ways. I used to love watching because you never knew who was going to come out on top. These two teams going head to head, brand newcomers coming in, just always at that top tier level. And it used to be phenomenal to watch, and that's what's happening in Battlefield. And people may bitch saying, "Oh, there's no consistency to teams." Every week I get to see someone new. That's not a bad thing. That keeps teams practicing. That keeps you fresh. If you're a top team and you just win everything, you get bored. And, you lose that motivation, you lose the will to practice day in, day out, and you stop evolving as a team. And, Jason's eating Haribo.
I'm not eating anything. You can hear in my voice that I am not chewing on anything.
That's because you put it back.
I did.
Because I stopped talking.
Because you're looking at me like, don't you dare. It's like, you're like my mother, like, no,
look,
don't do it. And then I put it back.
When they call your full name, you know what I mean? Like the middle name's included.
Jason Michael Kaplan.
It's
crap, I'm in trouble.
Oh, damn. Yeah, that's never a good feeling.
She actually forgets my name sometimes and calls me by my brother. Or sometimes I'm called the dog's name.
Just because.
Yeah. It's usually generally the tone determines who she's talking to in the family. But I want to talk about this because how is that?
Because you used the original version.
I did. Oh, well, for now. But one thing I like to talk about is...
What do you like to talk about, Jason?
The map pool that we have.
The map pool? That's an interesting...
And, like, favorite maps, because to me... Okay, so it's hard. It's difficult. Because I'm split on two different directions. There's one direction where I like the...
One direction.
There's one area that I'm torn at is the fact that I really love maps that are quick action, fast-paced, constant fighting. But on the backside of that, it's like, with those kind of maps, you can't see the result of an individual kill or an individual 2 or 3 kills really play itself out. On larger maps where you have to actually run really far to a point to cap it over, you can see the individual play of or the skill of the players really shine through and show a result within the game. You can because if you look at this, if someone gets 10, 15 kills, it's like, okay, they killed 10, 15 people, but how did that really affect the game? You can't really tell. But if it's like a map where it takes forever to get to a point, or it takes forever to cap a point, and you see someone get 10 to 15 kills in that game, you can see the direct result of that into the scores.
Yeah.
So I'm torn between a lot of the maps because a lot of them are very close. Like a lot of them are a lot of the points are really within each other. They're really nearby. It's really easy to get to them. But I can't think of a favorite one. Like for me, Dawnbreaker is really fun. Like strategically wise, it can be really fun to do. And B is just if you can master how to control B on that map, you can pretty much take the map every single time. But
uMAV were great at that as well. They were one of the best teams I saw doing that, even when they had the C-spawn, which is really impressive to me, personally. But for me, it's like the close quarter maps. So, for example, what we're watching now is a very close quarter map. Look how close the points are compared to others, and the routes are so open. It's all about controlling the favored 2 and giving yourself advantage on the 3rd. So, in my eyes, the favorable sites to me, probably the A and B sites, because they're so complementary to each other. C is slightly more withdrawn, and the spawns aren't necessarily ideal for it. You can always random a spawn to the back of C, for example. And then if you're controlling A and B, you can easily lock down the street cross. And just, if we see Epsilon, for example, with those Scar H's, lock down B and A, they can just play from rooftops, watch the cross, one close quarter player sitting on the B site, maybe in the small little back house there, and just mows them down on the entrance once they're down to half HP. And it'll be very interesting to see if they do that.
It's really funny because with the way A and B set up, they're the furthest from each other in terms of A to B from B to C. Yeah. Like that's a farther gap. But because of this road, that divides the map in half, kind of. Instead of, you know, if, for instance,
There's
if
a
you
love heart.
oh, God. If you have B and C, like you look at it, it's like, yeah, it's closer to get turrets, closer to back up each other, but there's buildings that make it so easy to attack with it. But A to B, you have that solid line across the middle of the map that you can use to pick people off, to really get the information, to get the vision, and really not make it... Really? I wish you would, like, also draw a name with that, too.
He loves you, Jason. Don't you worry.
I think it's you.
No, it's definitely you.
Maybe he loves turtles?
I like turtles. I've been on the internet far too long, is what I realize when I start talking about this.
Yeah, it sucks because I try to send you a funny picture from like Reddit or something, and you're like, "Yep, seen it already." Like, cool.
Welcome to my life. Oh.
Oh, oh.
Oh. Is he just writing his own name?
H-U?
Huh.
H-U-P?
Hop? Could be an R.
H-R-P? H-U-R?
I don't know.
Hey, we're gonna have a game here. Yeah,
all right, guys,
awesome.
we are back in the action on the second map. Let's kind of give you a little recap on the first one. It was Storm. It was uMAV's choice of map, but they lost out on it. Currently, Epsilon are sitting at a 1-map advantage. This is their choice. And let's see what side they're starting on as well. If we can just press tab real quick here just to confirm. It'll be Epsilon on the Chinese team and the Russian team being uMAV. Now, looking at that Chinese team spawn, it'd be interesting to see what they go for here. Do they go for the flat-out challenge on C? Do they split down to A and then rotate around to B? I'm not sure. This would be very,
I think the
very
smart
interesting.
choice, send a couple, or send like one A, because you know the Russian team can't get to A. Send the rest towards C, because you know they're going to be pushing straight into B, so you get the back cap, you get the AC, then they're going to send people to A, you get the CB cap, then they're going to send people to like C.
You say
just
that,
work
though.
in a circle.
The Russian team get better set up on the road crossfire, so they might just rush it out like they did against Fnatic. They're doing it. They're going straight up towards that B side. They've crossed already, and this is unbelievable. uMAV are going aggressive. They split one player back to C for the safe cap, and now they are in position for that B hold. Can they keep hold of this, though? Yes, they can. Marzu picking up that Scar H, using it on that road cross, and already C is being contested, though. They might need to start focusing out on that A hold because it's not going to be easy now because they're a little bit split up, they're a little bit out of position, and David is making the most of that.
Scar H. But we do see an A taken, and we just talked about how difficult it is to really hold those two together, but we already do see uMAV going to be going for the cap onset, so I would imagine the rest of Epsilon will go straight towards this B side, but either way, uMAV able to pick up these kills, able to trade at least 1-for-1 here, and they will be making a move towards B as you see a 3-man squad, well 2-man squad heading across the roadway, but they're just getting mowed down. Currently, uMAV with the 8 kills to the 5 currently of Epsilon. This is the first time in this best of 3 that they've been able to take the advantage in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, that's because they went for that little bit of a curious play. They went straight towards B. They negated going for like a solid C and, you know, maybe expecting that was very well chosen out by them. And now we're going to see how Epsilon reclaim the throne almost. How do they fancy getting back into this? So they've got one player on the cross, which would be Duke, just kind of sitting back playing smart. One on C. But Jera and the rest of them pushing around the back here, looking for a way through towards that A site. But they surely you want B. B is the important one here. He's getting himself in a very good position to watch over it, but he needs to pick up those kills. Players just steps away. Nice little spamming moves there. Just putting those nades through, forcing him out of the comfortable choices so they can get the rest of the team on the site. And they're going to cap that one out, but they might lose out on C. They've got to start pushing A because there's a 2-2 split here coming out from uMAV.
Hork's like, hey, that's my job to back cap. What are you doing? He's going to be going for this one. He's going to be looking for a kill or two. Does have the Scar, obviously, so not as strong in these close fighting corners, but he actually is capping it away. And you see Delarco just go straight to the back, tries to get a little bit of a height advantage. And Sneaky's left to himself to defend against this. He's sitting on the flag, but with the second man coming in from Epsilon, they're going to be able to start getting the cap over. He really can't do anything really much about this right now. But right now, uMAV, or sorry, not uMAV, Epsilon is just searching for them. They're just trying to find them so they can pick up these kills, and they're going to get one here.
Yeah, that's David doing the damage there, taking Delarco down and out, but that's going to convert that C point. But still, Sneaky, very smart.
Ooh.
But maybe he just shot his load a little bit too early there, and Horix just going to play it perfectly off the back of that. Now going to claim that site completely in his hands, and now David can focus on pushing over towards B. They have the presence. They know they're going to force uMAV all the way back down there, but will they be able to hold on to this B site, or are they going to focus on keeping A? Or at least trying A.
Well, he gets taken down, and that looks like B will be taken back for uMAV here. But in the meantime, it's a two-prong attack. Like I said, they're taking A at the exact same time. Looks like they don't really care about holding down two particular flags for their team. But C is actually being just held on by Hork, which is Something that is not a way we usually see him play, but he was just sitting back, waiting for the respawns to get on top of him. They're going to go for the strong attack on B. They have people here to go in for a collapse if they want to, and right now uMAV only have 3 people alive, and they need to wait for those respawns to come up, or Epsilon's just going to murder them.
Okay, Horek and Co are depending on them taking A. They need that to happen because then they were going to go for the ideal cap on B and A. But they've lost out on the B push. They haven't completely secured A either. Now uMAV negated C, and they've come all the way back now. You know, this is a perfect play from uMAV. They held the sites. They put, you know, all the pressure back on Epsilon, put them in that awful spawn. And now they've got to go through the kind of valley of death there. Mayek making a stunning shot towards Baden, alleviating the pressure on the cross. But straight away, Asterix doing what he does best, being up in those buildings. Those nades being thrown through, but just about coming through the window, but he's avoiding them. And this is still a nice little hold for uMAV, but they've got to be careful. You know, there's players slipping through here and there and everywhere. If they kill them on the street, they'll respawn on the players and they'll be closer to the sites.
And Meg, he's trying to make a move onto A here. They're currently not able to hold on to 2 points for themselves. Horek going to be pushing as well. David actually just sitting on the ground here, waiting for one man to cross and try to stop this cap. They will, in fact, get it back for themselves. So they do have a 2 cap here, but in the meantime, D'Arco's actually going for the flank. The respawn coming on Duke here, so they're trying to take C back here. But can D'Arco, if he can pick up these 2 kills, he can really open up wide and get a huge ticket lead for his team when they're already up about 40 currently. Looking for one, gets taken down. I mean, we'll have Epsilon take that back, as well as take B back here in the meantime, too, since uMAV doesn't have those spawns up just yet.
And I'm really impressed with the way uMAV are locking down A. There's been no chance that Epsilon can break through. Asterix and Co, they've got it locked down completely and utterly. Now, okay, they've lost out on C, but let's assume they'll get that back spawn pretty soon. It'll send maybe 2 or 3 other players to the back of that C site, or they can just work it around themselves. Horek now has to hold on against 2 players. He's got Jared not too far away, but Delarco doesn't make it around the corner, and oh my word, he's spotted out another on the street. Doesn't get the shot off, he's being pressured, needs to back away, and this is where we might see a little bit of the pressure coming in from the opposition.
And it still was taken right under his teeth. Actually, it was finally capped back over in favor of Epsilon right there. But they have C, they have B. They're trying to get this ticket deficit under control a little bit here. And Meg going to be holding on in from the buildings. Saw him actually push a little bit earlier on, and he got destroyed. Actually, sorry, that was Horek. Meg looking for one. Going to get that one with the hip fire. Not even going to aim down sight here. And they will maintain that hold as Sneaky. He's playing the Horek role, it seems now. He's the one that's going around the backside trying to cap flags on them. But the team is respawning on top of him as well to help out here. And David, he notices something's up as they're actually going for an A cap.
He's expecting the spawn to the northeast side there, so that's why he's kind of playing to the back. They're going to find out they got the other side of the spawn, so they're going to have to quickly adapt across and be very careful. Hence why David is now focusing on this push. He picks up the kill, really well played. I'm not sure if he's expecting this amount of presence, but it doesn't matter. He's picked up 2. Sneaky now doing the cap work, but that's going to be ringing alarm bells. Can this man go for the 3rd? Yes, he can. Beautiful play go through. I think it was the sport player actually of Jared coming around to claim that 3rd there. But still, nice hold on C coming out from these guys. But they need to start, bringing this one back from either team. One team needs to take control here. And I think we might be seeing it being Epsilon this time. Might be going for that trip cap, finally breaking that A defense and bringing it into their favor with 3 possible flags.
And they finally, have taken the lead for the first time this game. Sneaky, though, he's looking to do something about it as they do have that tri-cap still ticking away. He's going for B right now. He's starting to cap. He does neutralize it. He's looking for the kill, but he gets taken down. And that will be the tri-cap going back in favor of Epsilon here, but the Asterix trying to work on the A cap gets taken down, as well as Mate coming up from the side, picking up these kills, looking for, I believe that is Badian, takes him down too, so they will maintain that 3 cap. However, can Horek hold them off a C? He gets one. He's going to be looking for a second, waiting for some backup. Actually gets the spot on another man here, so they do know that the spawns are coming from the C side, so they can all start rotating over since everyone uMAV is dead that was currently in A towards B. And right now, uMAV, they are getting the worst spots possible.
And I'm really surprised they've tried to hold on to the trip cap by C rather than being focused on the BA hold. They've allowed at least a possible route for uMAV to break through. Sadly, uMAV weren't quick enough on it to get all the way over. But already Sneaky's up by B, and look at the amount of presence on C. Maybe they just really wanted to get those points in the bag, and they trust themselves to hold it in such a dispersed manner. It's very curious because they are weak on the B site, and Sneaky's making the most of it. Why not? That's the ideal one to convert onto A, and they might be able to turn this one around, but the individual skill now has to be dependent on Epsilon to bring this back.
And they're up 40 tickets now when they were down about 40 in the beginning of the game. Doing a fantastic job really turning this one around. Jared looking for the hold here, looking for Delarco, throw this grenade over the wall. Unfortunately, doesn't hit the right spot. And he's actually naded himself here. Gets taken down, and that might be A opened up wide for uMAV here as the rest of Epsilon are spawning towards C.
See, now this is the danger of what I was saying. They negated B, and now they've opened up A by only 1 player being present there to defend it, and this could bring it back a lot closer than it was at a 2-to-1 hold. As we saw, Epsilon got the back spawns, but they're straight on to B. They're not holding back this time. They've got players straight over there. We should be able to see that being converted, and it'll be back to a 2-to-1 hold in favor to Epsilon, unless uMAV can get there pretty damn quickly.
See Batten right there looking for the kill. Does get onto Meg here, stops the push onto A, but getting defensive kills like that isn't the right move. You need to start being aggressive here. You can't let this 50 ticket lead stay in favor of Epsilon as they're still picking up kills left and right across the board. Only 2 men up for uMAV here. They do get the back spawn. Actually, Meg is very, very far away with his spawn. He's going to come for the backside. I actually want to stick with him here. I want to see if he can pick up a couple of kills because he can maintain control of C if he does get them. Gets one on Delarco. Fantastic shot out of him. And they will control C yet again here. Well, Sneaky has something to say about it, but he's got to pick up the kill, and he gets taken down by Meg. That will be C going in favor of them. That will be pretty much a giant lead coming into that second half for Epsilon.
Yeah, very much so. Very interesting play, though. They kind of had to adapt to the way uMAV were locking down the A site. They eventually pushed them off it, but they never held it. It was never a very, normal game here. We're seeing the tickets getting quite low now. There we have it. It will be a 69 ticket lead in favor. I'm not a mature person. In favor to Epsilon. So after such a strong start, they did eventually work it back.
And I really wonder what was so different within the uMAV camp, considering this isn't the map they chose, to really give them that strong early start. And then what happened, what fell apart that gave Epsilon great control of the game back again, because they were seriously down about 30 to 50 tickets in the first 5 minutes of the game. But then out of nowhere with that track cap coming into play, they finally got the ticket lead and they maintained it the rest of the time.
In my eyes, uMAV, the way they played the buildings after the start they had, they went for a very aggressive start. They kind of left C to a touch, went straight across the road. They left one point to cap out C. They went straight for B, straight for A. They, maintained the hold on A for a good amount of time. The likes of Asterix doing well in the buildings, Marzu being support but wasn't ideal, but Batten came into play on the long-range shots, and that was just what kind of kept the opposition at arm's length. And then likes of Mayek stepped up, David did really well. Everyone started doing what they did on Storm. It was very much, okay, challenge him out of the houses then, put him at a disadvantage. And that's exactly what happened. Jason is
and I hit the wrong button.
Buttons are
I
hard.
was looking for control. And apparently
Locker.
one of the admins will be changing the map. Isn't Locker the third map?
It might be, but it's going to be...
Yeah, they have to be going back to Gold Mode Railway. That was only the first half. Especially since Epsilon won the second half, you would imagine. Anyway, so this hopefully will be fixed in a second with the admins getting it back onto the correct map. But Epsilon, they're looking good to take the grand finals here in cut number 2. And uMAV, I want to see a little bit more life within the team because they don't seem to be showing up as much as they did against Fnatic.
Yeah, it's hard, you can never really... It's very hard to kind of translate skill. So, the way they played against Fnatic was phenomenal. But I don't think Fnatic and Epsilon are even comparable these days. Epsilon are an unknown threat almost at times. They're very hard to read and very hard to counter. Whereas Fnatic have quite static setups, for example, and they're very known for the way they play. So hopefully that'll get changed. I'm kind of nervous now because it's just a black screen. Oh, good. Oh, good.
So you're wrestling through papers.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out from Cup 1 what happened with Epsilon. I think they lost to Fnatic in Cup number 1.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they went out to Fnatic there. Yeah, we're loading back on the right map. Which was
I know uMAV have never lost against Fnatic in a tournament setting, which is interesting.
I'm trying to...
I know Epsilon did play against Fnatic. They beat them on Operation Locker once Fnatic had the strong start, but then they lost the next 2 maps.
Yes, so it was Fnatic who pipped them to the post. So, right, we are ready to get back underway here. Hopefully the players are connecting. I think they are slowly but surely.
Sides. So I think we'll be having the half switched over in just a second. There it is.
Yeah.
But 69 tickets. So game plan. Are we going to see uMAV go for the same kind of thing where they, like you said before, they left, or we saw Epsilon leave 1 man at C, had a 4-man rush over that red way to get towards B and get that early 2 cap?
Well,
I wonder.
I don't think the way uMAV plays suits the BC hold on times. There's not those high buildings complementing that. Maybe towards C if you play really far back.
The vertical buildings, the high vertical buildings.
Yes, those ones. But if they don't control A, I don't know. It's going to be really hard for them from the start here. I'm curious to see how they pull this off. They've got a spawn that kind of suits maybe a challenge on C and obviously claiming A. And they've got a good convert over towards B because I'm assuming they'll put asterisks in the buildings. They'll have a good shot across. But I don't know. I'm really curious here. I'm very, very curious to see how this one pans out.
I'm interested to see the way Epsilon's actually... Wait. Yeah, okay. I do have the right sides. But the way they're actually... never mind. I'm going to ignore that fact because I just want to see what they do here. If they were looking over towards actually the spawn of the Chinese team for uMAV, I was wondering if they're going to actually go straight into them and contest it. But right now, actually, they will be sending 1 or 2 men actually on the backside here. I wonder if they might be able to pick up these kills. Might be able to completely open up a very early tri-cap because they don't need that many points to lock down this game.
And that one kill on the building you saw across there on the way by the A site is vital. They are getting those kills from distance. They're condensing and containing the opposition just towards the A site, allowing Epsilon to claim 2, the BC hold. And that just suits them down to a T. They're very happy here now. Let's see if they can keep that under control. There we have it, Duke doing the damage, going straight for that trip cap onto the A site. He's fairly uncontested. They've still got presence on B, so this could be a trip cap and a held trip cap if Maya can do the damage, and we know he can.
Okay, there's a guy right behind him, though. He's actually looking even towards him. Gets taken down right there, so a little bit unfortunate for him. A is actually neutralized as well as B, so we're going to see uMAV actually take B, maybe take A here, but Duke is still there in the vicinity. He's still there in the buildings. He's looking to hold this one down. He knows it's being capped over. Well, it is capped over. And he's going to look for these kills to finally go for it himself here. Maybe get a little bit of backup, too, as he has Jera respawn in. But C's being taken, and we're having a tri-cat come in for uMAV here with a twist of fate.
Yeah, perfect counterplay with them pushing out towards C from B once they claimed that. Really smart stuff. David go for a bit of a sneaky countercap on the other side of the wall there. Really well played to him, immediately eradicating the advantage that was given to
looking for him, but he can't find him.
Marzu is baffled. He's like, I just can't even into Battlefield. He does get taken down by David, who eventually pushed into the site. That should really gift them that C hold. And they've got an AC hold, very interesting and very hard to hold on to because you're seeing those spawns coming in for uMAV. It generally doesn't allow you to keep hold of it. That's generally why we see the AB hold. But right now, Horik's in a good position. He's got the overview that you'd like. He gets those nades in there. And, you know, Epsilon are never happy with the standard hold, the standard setup. They like to switch things up and get right in their faces.
And Horik, he's doing work with that Scar. You're definitely right about seeing so many more of them come into play here. It's actually turning around and get sneaky right there. That is 2 kills that might actually open up C for him, but Yornsu's actually been watching it from there. We do see uMAV going straight for a push onto A here, as we do have 2 men, Jera and Meg here to stop it. And I think with that 2-to-1 advantage, they should be able to hold on to A here, and they should be able to at least take it back for themselves and maintain that lead, because right now, uMAV 114 tickets, and when they, or if they fall, below 69 points, then they will have lost, and we will see Epsilon as the victors and the champions of Cup number 2. Wow, what a perfect grenade coming out of him.
That was a really good read for me. Knew the cap point was being contested, then stopped, so he expected the push-up, and he was correct to be feeling so. He didn't get the eventual kill, but Mayek surely going to be now aware he's going to get into a position that better suits him with that gun in hand. Playing from range will not kind of help him out in this one. He's got to get into their faces, try and control the situation. They know that they're going to be here, but is he waiting for them to hang around, maybe get some respawns up that A road and then flank around the back? Yes, he is. Really good stuff. They're losing out on C a little bit here, so they're going to have to make that counter cap towards A. And, well, they've held on to it for a little bit of time at least. But look at that. Straight away, Mayek getting into this one, getting involved, getting that counter cap underway to get that 2-to-1 hold here. And those tickets are still quite low for any uMAV fans.
Huh, he just neutralized it and actually just let it go for a little bit. Maybe he's looking for someone to actually, you know, kind of contest it against him. He's looking for one, gets taken down though. So that should be A going back over to uMAV here. But look at the spawns coming from Epsilon. They should be easily able to take control of C here, as we do have a 1-for-1 trade right there. They will get C. They will lose B in the meantime, though. So uMAV, they're definitely working for it right now, but they still have a lot of points to go.
Yeah, they've really got to start this one going now. Big counter push coming in towards that B site from Epsilon. Jera splitting around the back of the house down that A road. They should be able to get on to B with this amount of presence. Duke just powering through. And there's going to be the 2-to-1 hold. Unless maybe Baden can do something magical, he's going to be spamming out desperately trying to pick up Duke, who just took down Asterix there in the building opposite. But Baden just being pushed away. He cannot get into the site. Epsilon playing quite far back here. A little bit, you know, of a new style coming from them. They're not getting straight into their faces. They've lost their defensive player on C, however, which could come into effect in, you know, a little bit of time if they work that out onto the opposite side.
Wow, right now, Epsilon doing a great job of controlling onto these 2 points, but you see uMAV, they're split off a little bit farther, trying to go in from a very far distance to come around into B, and you're seeing Epsilon come in with these very far back spawns right now, but Manic actually just trying to run away, trying to hold B a little bit longer, wait for some reinforcements to come for his team, because it's only him and Horik to hold on. But 79 tickets remaining for uMAV right now, 10 more to go, 9 more to go before Epsilon will be the victors.
Yeah, Epsilon are on the verge of victory. They're looking back towards B as their last kind of stand here to make sure this one goes their way. They've lost out on A. B has gone to the other side. 76 tickets remain. 69 is that magic number. And now we are seeing Mayek splitting around the back, doing the damage. 76 tickets. That's all they're going to be looking at. C is being counter-capped as well. Finally being brought back into their hands, I do believe, after they won that little exchange. But B's the important side. They know they can't break through A on occasion. It's very hard against uMAV, who are great great at that hold, and they're working hard. uMAV are not giving this one up just yet. The counter cap is underway. The spawns are coming in on them, but B is going the other way around. 73 tickets. There's only a couple more left. The kills are so important at this point. We cannot stress it enough. If uMAV, the Chinese side, drop below 69 tickets, it's game over. Epsilon are the victors, and Epsilon are fighting this one out. Marzu tries to hold on, but Duke will win that exchange. The respawn is going to be huge for them. Oh my word! Picks up on the way around the corner. He didn't get the side, but he got the kill.
Those two can't respawn though now because of that.
Exactly. That was huge play. 71 tickets, make it 70. That C-side being worked over, and there we have it. 69 tickets. Epsilon, you have done wonders tonight. Congratulations, guys. You'll be walking away with that first position finish, taking down uMAV at the very end of the game there. Incredible, incredible stuff we've just witnessed. My God, Epsilon, you truly deserve that. Wow.
Every single man on that team played extremely well. They
Yes.
really did. Everyone
so.
stood up. Everyone carried their own weight, and from that, they were able to take home, honestly, it seems like easy win between them and Dignitas, and then them versus uMAV. I mean, they didn't really drop very many points. They were consistently playing well. They knew how to outplay the other team, and from that, they come through as the victors. And they didn't have an easy road here either. If you look at it, I mean,
not at all. They had a very hard route.
they had to beat Name, which is a relatively unknown team who beat Eyeballer. I should just go and bring this on the screen to show you.
Let's explain
real
this
quick.
right now, because let's take everything into account here of the route that Epsilon took. Now, you may say, okay, they had a bit of an easier game against Name. They're not exactly this big known team, but let's bear in mind, Name beat Eyeballers, who were one of the originally invited teams to the EMS One. They were a big deal. Now, okay, Eyeballers have been off their game, but still, Epsilon dealt with them comfortably, 2-0, didn't even lose a map. All right, next round, Meet Your Makers. Now, we saw Meet Your Makers up against ESC Icebox, and ESC, overcome their opponent that beat them in the Cup #1 in the first round. So ESC were on form, they were pumped up, but Meet Your Makers made them look like absolute amateurs, and they went on to face Epsilon.
And Meet Your Makers were the second place team in Cup #1. They went up against Fnatic in the finals, so it's not an easy game for them at all. And then,
Certainly not.
like you said, they got up against Dignitas, uMAV. I mean, very difficult route, but we also give credit to uMAV. They had a very hard route as well. I mean, they beat Team
Yes.
Refuse, which is one of the A-Series teams. They beat Gamers Connection, which is one of the 12 core teams within the EMS One series. They beat Against All Authority, beat Fnatic. Like, that route, you played against 3 of the core teams out of the 12, that is very hard to do, and I'm actually really proud for them that they got this far.
See, now, people are probably going to say, but AAA, were they weren't playing so well there. They already lost a map out to Isuba. Maybe not as tough of an opponent as Meet Your Makers, but then you think, okay, who'd you rather have, Meet Your Makers or Fnatic? Now, uMAV had to truly prove themselves. They didn't even have a clean game. They had to pick, they lost out a map, they brought it back. It was really hard work for them, and they deserved to be in the finals there.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, very well done for them. I hope they actually come back into the Cup #3, which will be next week on Tuesday and Wednesday at the same time.
I'm very surprised if they didn't.
Yeah, and I honestly hope they get back to that same position, because if they do, then they pretty much solidify in everyone's minds that they're a top team, and you should watch out for them if they can, get back into semis or even the grand finals yet again. But I mean, we can't say anything bad about them. They did a fantastic job, but the real victors, Epsilon, did an amazing job all day long. They make Dignitas look like they weren't even there today. It looked too easy for them, and then against uMAV, they played extremely well as well. And Horik, I'm glad we actually casted one of their games today, because we didn't get to see Horik play that same kind of role he did last week against Fnatic on Operation Locker in their series, and it was really nice to see something new adapting in the scene for it.
It was something completely different that you brought. It's a new kind of variable that now you got to watch out for, because how many teams out there are going to go, kind of like the way you played that. I really like the Scar. that suits my game style.
I'm gonna
try it out. Maybe in Go Force, which obviously you can get involved in very simply. Maybe work your way through to the A series, see how you guys fare, because that's the important thing here. It's all good and well watching these guys, but you don't appreciate how good you are, how good they are, until you come up against them. You're like, I can't even get a damn kill. It's pretty depressing. It's like, I'll play occasionally with the Fnatic guys, and it's like a step above. I consider myself a fairly competent player in most games, but you don't win against them. And then you see them losing to another team, you're like, who the hell are these new guys? So I urge you guys watching this, if you do believe you're a really strong Battlefield team, and there's nothing stopping you here, there's no setup kind of structure that will deny you the chance to play the very best teams. The Go4s get you money as well. It's not like it's free. It's, you can sign up completely free, but you walk away with possibly a good chunk of money every week.
Yep.
It's not a bad way to make some money. So test your skills against the very best. And if you do want some information about the main league that we're watching here today, do head over to the battlefield-ems1.com site. It has everything available. The rankings, the A-Series rankings, the brackets for the past 2 cups, the VODs for the past cup, and a new kind of article up there explaining the game mode as well, which I think is pretty important because it's not your kind of rudimentary Battlefield. They've adapted it a little bit to more of an esports focus. And sometimes it's very hard to keep track, so maybe get a little bit of background information and check that one out. We'll also be doing a breakdown as well of all the guns people are using and why. Because I think plays like Horek championing the Scar are kind of telling you why we need to be doing that, because there's a lot of new things coming into this game that are a little bit out there, because everyone thought, okay, the Ace is going to be the gun everyone's going to be using day in, day out, kind of like the AEK was. But seeing new things coming in, certainly kind of raising eyebrows here and there, certainly for me at least. But anyway, I think that's just about it today, guys. We've had a fantastic Cup number 2. Hopefully you guys at home have enjoyed this. I know we've had pretty good fun, right?
Really good fun.
We had good fun. And if you've enjoyed it, do make sure you follow this Twitch channel. We'll be going live again next week with very similar content, but who knows what teams will be showing up in that one. We've already seen 2 new teams in the grand final of the second Cup compared to the first, and a whole new victor. So if you've enjoyed it, make sure you follow the Twitch channel, make sure you check out the site, and obviously make sure you follow us on Twitter just below at They Call Me Pansy for myself, and at Jay Kaplan for our incredible co-caster for tonight. So guys, we'll be catching you soon. Hopefully, you'll be here next week.
Peggy 18.
越王勾践卧薪尝胆，最后灭了吴国。这么多年来，给他们造玩具、鞋子，甚至他们的国旗，一边忍受他们的傲慢，一边等待时机。现在，时机终于到了，让他们见识我们民族的伟大。瞧好吧。